Clipper up. So here we are in a Cirrus. Not really. Lancia Columbia 400. Let's have a look at it. Hi, this is Mark from Skywagon University. It's a little bit of a departure from the norm, but it is a Cessna in effect. It's actually a Lancia Columbia 400, a 2005. In 2008, they became Cessnas. There was a 300, a 350, and a 400. The 300, they're all IO 550s. The engines, we'll get detail later. The 350 has got the Garmin 1000 package in it, and the 400 is turbocharged, so it would be called a Columbia TTX, and the TT is twin turbo, and it's an IO 550C 310 horsepower, so it's IO injected oppose 550 cubic inches, 550 cubic inches big. TT twin turbo, C is just the designation model. We're not going to uncowl it because it's a lot of screws and a lot of time, but it's a big engine with 2 turbochargers. So these were originally built by Lancia, and then Cessna bought the design, and in I think it's 2008 they became the Cessna 400 Corvallis, and in 2018 they stopped making them because the Cirrus was out competing them and they weren't selling very well, and the only reason they were doing that is because the Cirrus had the ballistic parachute, and there's pros and cons to that. They have saved lives. They've also, you know, it's not like a parachute shouldn't be like a life jacket you immediately deploy if the VGT goes over 450, but the parachute made the Cirruses outsell these and they stopped making them. So it's a very unconventional Cessna, but it's actually, this one is a Columbia 400. So let's get into some of the more, I'm not going to go crazy about every last Avidyne mode on its avionics. We're just going to look around it the way we'd look around it as if you came up to me in the hangar and said, what's that? So let's do it. So obviously the first thing you see when you look at one of these or a Cirrus is the gull wing doors. It's like a Trinidad TB20s and TB10s have gull wing doors. Mercedes 300 SLs have gull wing doors. The Cirruses have gull wing doors. These do. It's just nice access, and it's very you can get in and out much more easily, and there's 2 of them. So unlike a lot of single engine planes, low wingers, they only have 1 door. So this is very, very accessible. So that is like just a cool look to a plane. That's what would ramp appeal. If somebody walked up to it, they'd think, wow, that's a nice looking plane, for numerous reasons. So unlike a lot of Cessnas, when you stand under its wing, there's not a lot of room because it's a low winger, but it's also a Columbia, not a Cessna yet. Anyway, we're down here because we want to look at the gear. Fixed gear with wheel pants, just like a Cherokee 180 or a Warrior or something, just less complexity. If this was retractable, imagine how fast it would be. The trouble is, some of these high-performance modern manufacturers are reluctant to make retractables because of the liability associated with it. So you make a very aerodynamic fixed gear, and it's one less thing that can go wrong. So it's literally a non-steerable nose wheel that's steered by differential braking, fixed gear with wheel pants. Very, very simple. No hydraulics, no pumps, no associated weight, and no potential to do a gear up. So the construction of these is composite, not metal. Very strong, composite, Tupperware, but they're like a Cirrus. They have an airframe upper hour limit of 25,200 hours. And I'm just wondering who came up with that number, because what happens if you had one and it went to 2,201 hours? Does that when the wings fly off? But it's got a 36-foot wingspan, which is exactly the same as a 182. So it'll fit in every conventional hangar. 49 gallons a side, so 100 gallons of gas. That's 600 pounds of weight. So with full fuel, the plane has about a 450 pound useful load for humans, for just under 500 pounds for humans, but 600 of it is gas. So if you don't fill it up, it's obviously more. So useful loads are about 1,200 pounds, 1,100 pounds. Speed brakes. not very big. We'll put them up just for a descent without cooling the turbos too much. You can accelerate the descent but not have to pull the power back too far. Very conventional configuration on the wings. Flaps, you know, back, takeoff. There's a takeoff and a landing position. We'll see it in the cockpit. Ailerons, light, small, with trim. Electronic aileron trim. It's on the yoke, on the stick. It's forward, backward, left, right. You can do everything with it. You could fly it totally on aileron trim if you want. Very smooth, no rivets in it. So this Lancer, I flew a Lancer 4P once, which is retractable, twin turbo, twin intercooler, 550. Unbelievable thing. Its wing is about that wide and that long. This plane does 189 knots, which is about 2 knots faster than the similar Cirrus. The Lancer 4P was doing 289 knots. It's 100 knots faster. Mind you, I was at 20,000 feet. So this plane is much more docile than the 4P. It's got a much more lifty wing. It's got a stall area on the leading edge out there that it brakes at different rates so that the stall wing won't stall all in one go like a 4P. So this is far more docile. This plane lands at about 80 knots. So it's very much within the envelope of the general aviation general public. Another comparison with the Cirrus would be it's marginally faster, but it's an inch smaller in the cockpit. If you measured them dimensionally inside, I think it's 3/4 of an inch and 1/2 an inch in the cockpit compared to a Cirrus. So it's very comparable with the Cirrus. So around the back end, tail, very conventional. Fixed horizontal, obviously all composite. Elevator, this is fixed. Elevator. Trim tabs on the other elevator. This is just a fixed rudder trim, but you've got aileron trim. So if it's flying wing down, aileron trim, no electronic rudder trim, but a regular horizontal stabilizer with static wicks for dissipating static electricity because it's a composite airframe. They'll build up static electricity when flying in instrument conditions from the friction of the air molecules and water molecules. So this dissipates electricity, it doesn't upset your avionics. Okay, moving forward, let's have a look at the baggage area. Okay, baggage, round Medco key. It's a special kind of lock, so you put it in, turn it and take it out. That seems weird that I would point that out, but in this one, you put it in, turn it, and you can't take it out. That means that you have to open the baggage door, use it, it's huge, it goes back to here. This whole area. You cannot leave the key in there or leave it unlocked because you can't get the key out of here. So you shut it, lock it, and then lock that one. And I suppose if you really wanted to, you could leave it there, but you couldn't start the plane. But you can never leave the key because you have one lock where it holds the key, and you have to then lock both on purpose. So that's the baggage area, big. So very useful. Now, to the business end, inside. So inside it, big comfortable leather seats. This is the fuel selector, big wooden knob, left, right. And it will put a light on the dash if you're not fully in the detent. So get it exactly in the detent and the light will go off to show that it's in there. These go forward, of course. A cup holder. Rear seats, they adjust. And then baggage beyond it, and you can get to the baggage from in here, whereas in a P Lancer you can't get to the baggage because it's not pressurized, so you don't want to put your pets back there. Normal inertia reel seat belts, individual air vents, lights, oxygen. Very nicely equipped inside and comfortable, and a lot of room in it. So getting in, you don't have to be a Russian gymnast. You just put one foot in, bring the other one in without kicking anything, and you're in, and the doors are open, so it's got a lot of airflow. Key, dual batteries, dual alternators. So we'll look around in here a little bit. I won't get into every mode that these Avidyne Flight Max Integras can do because we'd be here for 5 hours. That's almost a whole other subject. Very conventional. Oh look, a mixture and a prop control. Cirruses don't have that. Cirruses have got one FADEC control. So you are managing your fuel flow and you are managing your RPM on conventional, always, on conventional controls with conventional fuel flow, conventional mixture, EGT, CHT, TITs. So there's an oxygen system, air, fans, blowers, flaps, up. It's literally take off, land. Very, very simple. The two MFDs, they're Avidyne Integra Flight Maxes, Garmin 430, second 430, there's a transponder, and then an S-Tech 55X down here, altitude hold, coupled slaved autopilot. Trim, left, right, up, down, so you got the control here, aileron, elevator, all on the side stick. So that is also the same as in a Cirrus, a wooden side stick. Fuel gauges, there's also massive fuel management on one of these screens if you choose which one it is. Annunciator panel, battery conditions, there's RPM there, there's oil, pressure and temperature here, and cylinder head temp and turbo inlet temp. And then down here, vapor suppression. If you're doing a hot start and you've got vapor in the fuel system, you want to get rid of the vapor in the fuel system for a hot start, you need that. You also need it above 18,000 feet. But we're not going to go there today. But other than that, except for just being a yoke here, this is extremely user-friendly. And I mean, I am not a high-time Lancer 400 Columbia guy, and we're going to fly it. I was shown how to fly it recently by the person who brought it down here to me. So let's start it up and take it for a flight, and then we'll just get out quickly and show you some of the one of the emergency exit procedures if there were an event. So you can imagine if this plane accidentally landed in a field and went upside down, the doors would be hard to open because they open like that, like anything like that. The Cirrus the same, but the Cirrus would be the right way up, but it'd be flat because of its parachute. It would have splatted on the ground, spread its gear, but it would still be the right way up. If this is upside down, under here is the procedure, and it's stuck on there upside down. And there's two reasons for that. One is when you're reading it like this, it's the right way up, and the other is if it's upside down, it's the right way up, and it's telling you that there's a hatch you open and a pin you pull that will emergency release the doors. And on the other side there's a sign that says, the sign that tells you to emergency release the doors is on the other side, and it's also upside down. So it's covered the bases on how to get out if it were upside down and the doors were closed. Yeah. So I have to sit here while the AHRS aligns. The plane has to be stationary. So while that's going on, I've got the engine management screen up. We just check everything. Here we are, ready to go. Okay, taxi. Nobody's coming. So taxiing it is exactly like taxiing any other plane. It's rudder pedals, differential braking, nose wheel isn't steerable, but you steer it with brakes. Very, very simple. In a Cirrus, you've got one FADEC controlled throttle knob. In this, you've got throttle prop and mixture. So this is very conventional.
Cleared Delta Placerville.
Placerville traffic, 90 Papa departing 23 left downwind departure Placerville.
Temps coming up. EGT, CHT, fuel flow, charging, got good oil pressure. So being a twin turbocharged 550 cubic inch engine, going round the pattern is not exactly a touch and go kind of plane. So you go, it's fast. I mean, it'll go around the pattern, bam, 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 we'll be back. This plane is more designed for high altitude cross country, not touch and goes, obviously. But we're just going to go round the pattern for a quick, just like a little feel of what it's like. I've got the door shut for the microphone to be clear, but it's hot in here. If I open it, it's noisy, but it's cool. The conundrum. Run up. Cigar. Controls attitude. Controls attitude gas. No, controls instruments gas attitude run up. Controls. Pull and free. Attitude. Neutral trim. Gas, fullest tank. Run up. We'll go to 1700 on the tack. Lean in a little bit. Wow, that's a turbo, we don't need to lean. Bag. Bag. Both. Prop. 2 when it's cold. Brakes. We won't need them, but they're working. Takeoff.
To the southeast, see the departing 172 traffic. Follow right up behind him.
Really? Placerville, Columbia 281, departing runway 23, a local flight, Placerville. All clear on final. Up on. Smoothly to full power. On left crosswind, 23 at Placerville. Very fast, very powerful, very smooth.
Traffic, 9 Delta Sierra, we are 8 miles southwest.
I'm on crosswind, I've just reached pattern altitude. Placerville, 281's on left downwind, 23 at Placerville, full stop. So I'm gently reducing the power just because I don't want to be full on turbocharged hot on downwind and then have to cool it. So I'm at like 24 inches now, and that's what it would be at if it was a regular 182 or something.
We'll do 3-4, China 3 Delta Sierra. 3-4, we'll do straight in for Willow.
Gently reducing power. So, big, comfortable. Look at the view in it. You've got everything in view. You've got all your engine, all your nav. You've got everything in view. You've got backup instruments here. You've got Garmin 430s down here. No yoke in the way. I'm going to be in Tahoe in a minute. I'm probably going to land this. I'm doing 130 on downwind. Make sure there's nobody ahead of you, because when you're in the pattern at this speed, there's a lot of things you can overtake. Do base. Placerville, Columbia 281's on left base. 23, full stop, Placerville. First stage of flaps, 127. We're doing 118, putting in flaps. Nobody on final. Now we're well inside the flap arc, so I'm going to put in full flaps. Placerville, Columbia 281 is on final, full stop on 23 at Placerville. Very nimble in all axis of control. It's not like it's heavy in pitch and light in aileron. It's very light in all axis. A little bit of trim, looking for about 90. I'm going to go right over the fence at 80, or just bleed it off in the higher 70s on final. So we're doing 89, 90 knots right now.
Planning on a straight in at 24, 3 below.
Okay, the gears down is fixed. Drop in.
2 miles to the west, coming in on left traffic.
Oh boy, I could get used to this thing.
And be looking for the diamond.
Those are the numbers that are up to 75. Just hold her off.
05 Romeo, 3 miles, straight.
1, 2, 3.
3-1.
Power off, gently brake, flaps up. So this is Mark from Skywagon University. Did a quick flight around the pattern in this Columbia 400. We do a lot of videos that just have an overview of we don't get deeply technical on a lot of planes, just show you the interesting things about them. There's a lot of videos on this channel like this, and there are going to be a lot more. So Mark at Skywagons, subscribe, notifications. Thanks for watching.